We're going to be running late. We've got an issue here.
Says on my screen here, the meeting is now streaming live on YouTube.
It does say that. We might just give it a few minutes and just see. It's not authenticating.
It's 2 o'clock, Matt. We probably should start.
We can't run the meeting unless we're live streaming, so best off holding off. I'll just get someone else to look it up on YouTube and check, because computer it would go across to
Matt.
Streaming.
Matt, it is rolling through on YouTube.
Yep. It is? Yeah, excellent. All right, good. Okay, let's get underway then. Thanks, James.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, CEO. Welcome, everybody, to the Ordinary Policy and Strategy meeting of the 30th of July, 2020.
Yeah, excellent. Right, good. Okay, let's get underway then.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you. We'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land and pay respects to elders past and present. This meeting is live streamed on Council's website to allow the community to follow Council's debates and decisions. Members of the public participating in a meeting agree to have their image, voice and personal information, including name and address, recorded and publicly broadcast. Snowy Valleys Council does not accept liability for any defamatory remarks or inappropriate comments that may be made during the course of the meeting. Any part of the meeting that is held in closed session will not be streamed. Please ensure all mobile phones and electronic devices are turned off or in silent mode for the duration of the meeting, and no recording of voice or images is permitted. In the event of emergency, please evacuate the area using the nearest exit. And temporary provisions under Section 447A of the Local Government Act. Council is currently operating under the temporary provisions of Section 447A of the Local Government Act, which allows for online meetings, and the provisions of the Act take precedence over any conflicts with the adopted Snowy Valleys Council Code of Meeting Practice. Thank you, councillors. Any apologies or leave of absence?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we have leave of absence requests for Councillor Larder, Councillor Benjamin and Councillor Isselman.
Do I have a mover and a seconder for those leave of absence? Councillor Ham, Councillor Wright, all in favour, accepting those? Yes, it's carried unanimously. Thank you. Declarations of pecuniary interest? Assume none. Takes us through to...
there were some.
Councillor Smith?
There were some hands up, I think, for pecuniary interest.
Not that I saw. Does anyone have any pecuniary interest? No.
Sorry.
That's okay. Thank you, Councillor Smith. We have business without notice, an urgent business without notice, CEO?
Mr. Mayor, I will just share a screen here for a motion that was raised by Councillor Pritchard.
Thank you. Can we scroll to the top of that? So it's just... I might just read through that, and I thank Councillor Pritchard for his efforts in this and his expertise, which we defer to quite often. The motion is that Council endorse the Snowy Valleys community being vigilant to protect our community through supporting the New South Wales Health messaging to assist in the management of the coronavirus through social distancing, good hand hygiene. If you feel unwell, stay home, get tested and isolate at home until negative result received. If you're a business, then ensure your COVID safe plan is active. 2, recommend to the Snowy Valleys community to stay informed, limit travel outside the local government area and non-essential visitation from outside the LGA, limit social gatherings, ensure physical distancing when greeting other people, reduce frequency of essential activities in the community, be aware and avoid current hotspots, wear a mask if you can't socially distance, ensure high-touch surfaces are regularly cleaned, use hand sanitizers regularly when in public spaces and avoid touching your face. All businesses should have hand sanitizers available for their customers. Use protective gloves when touching high-use public facilities. Wear face masks when preparing and serving food in public spaces. And 3, encourage the community to work in partnership with government agencies and businesses that are working to assist us with the meeting of public health order requirements. Councillor Pritchard, are you moving that?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I mean, this is all fairly obvious, getting bombarded with these messages from the government, but
Seconder?
yeah, and the councillors.
I can only see a couple of councillors. I can see Councillor Cross and Councillor Smith. Councillor Cross, thank you for seconding that. Carry on, Councillor Pritchard.
Yeah, we're at the point of no return, quite frankly. This is, when you look at the overseas news, it's just incredible what's going on overseas. And we are in a bit of a bubble here because we haven't had any virus in our Shire area, but it's looming at the doors. Victoria's just gone into extraordinary numbers this year, yes, in the last 24 hours. And in New South Wales, the spots jumping out everywhere. So we really have to think that it's here and now, and we have to do it all together. And I think it's, whilst it's primarily a health department's business, in the Local Government Act, we have an obligation in public health to our own community. And I think we have to ourselves lead the way. We've not got masks on now because we're all social distance, but once we get outside, we have to put masks on. And one of the problems with the masks is that the initial use of them is for people who had the virus. It was to stop them spreading it, but now it's turned around that the virus is being applied to us by people visiting through the area, and a mask will cover your nose and mouth, but that doesn't cover your eyes. And one way of the virus getting there is to get a droplet in your eye, and that runs down your lateral medulla into the respiratory system. So we need to wear face shields and goggles, all goggles, on top of your mask. And I think we have to do that now and whenever we're out in the open. It's up to the individuals to keep up to date on it. There's so much poor advice coming up that you need to sift through it yourselves and work out what's really necessary. And we have to pretend that it's here now. We're going to get one chance ourselves. I mean, all of us are not chickens, and I've reluctantly had to stop my grandkids coming down here in the next week, and we're going to have a Zoom meeting, and we're all going to have to be vigilant, and we have to think that it could be happen to us any time. These recommendations that we've put up are probably not complete, if you like, but you need to read through them and pretend that the virus is about to hit you any time. The devastation to our community is going to be, in Australia, is going to be enormous. And yes, but if we all work together, we'll get through it all right.
Thank you, Councillor Pritchard. Any other speakers? Councillor Han?
I was wondering if we could go into committee about this, Mr. Mayor.
Is it necessary? You're going to talk a lot, are you? You'd like to move to committee? Councillor Han, seconder.
Well, I'd like to go into. That's supported. Thank you.
Hang on. Let's put the motion. Unanimous. Thank you. In committee.
I think Councillor Pritchard brings up lots of good points which are listed there, but it also brings up the point of we are a border council area, and I'd like to take this opportunity to ask the CEO how we are going, how towns like Cant Coben, Jingellic are coping with the cross-border issues, what we're doing as a council to support those people. And I'm not sure whether anyone can tell me how Indi is going with Bigara for those people who have to leave to go into Victoria to come back into New South Wales to where they live. I was just wondering if we could have an update from the CEO on that.
CEO?
Through the Mayor, yes, the Mayor and myself have a daily meeting with the Cross-Border Commissioner. That has been very successful, in that we've put a number of suggestions up, and they've been very quickly changed. We've been in contact with various people in the community to see what their issues have been, and we've requested feedback from a number of different sources. So we believe at this stage it is definitely an extreme measure, and so there's always going to be some complications around that. But we've been very happy with the progress of the detail around the public health order and ensuring that businesses and farmers and the various recovery operations can continue to operate in our local government area. There was some quite good negotiations, especially around the Ken Coburn area, about being able to access groceries and fuel and essential services across the border, because that the communities of interest for the Ken Coburn community and many other communities in our local government area actually go across the border and into Victoria.
And do you know specifically how they're going at Bigara?
Not specifically at Bigara. I have asked some farmers in the Orney area about how things are going down there, but no, not specifically Bigara.
Yeah. Okay. And is there any cost to Snorri Valleys Council? Like, are we providing any of the barricades or anything like that? Are we financially implicated at all?
Yeah, through the Mayor, Councillor Ham, we are contracted to do some work there and provide that, but that is at the cost of the state, and the state are giving us the information about what needs to be provided, and we're providing that, and they're reimbursing those costs.
Great, well done.
I'd just like to say, just on the cross-border updates every day, just what a grand job that James McTavish is doing. It keeps us informed, and you know, there may well be the case where the restrictions get tighter. I can see a possibility of that. But to date, everything we've asked for, as far as I know, we've been successful in gaining. So getting additional bridges opened and the likes, we've been successful in, and most issues that people have brought to us, we've been able to resolve satisfactorily for them.
That's a very big commitment to you, Mr. Mayor, so thank you.
That's fine. Thank you. Anything further? Councillor Ham, you're moving that we go out of committee?
Yep, the committee of one's moving.
All right. All in favour?
Is that Councillor Wright seconded that?
Councillor Wright was the seconder, yep.
Thank you.
And it was unanimous. So, Councillor Pritchard, we put the motion, or do you want to speak to it again?
I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but we mustn't let our guard down. If there's going to be any good thing that comes out of this, maybe after the end of it, and this is maybe a few years off, we need to look seriously at the way we administer health across the nation. I mean, these state borders are just ridiculous. We should, and having state and federal giving different policies and whatever is also ridiculous. They tried, I think Kevin Rudd tried to put up some years ago that health be put in one bucket and administered in sensible regions. You see, Canberra should be the centre of the southeast of New South Wales from a health point of view, including Wagga and whatever it was. But we've got the ridiculous situation where Canberra is now overflowing into the state and so forth. I won't carry on about that now, but we'll keep it until after the end of all this and hopefully get some proper reform out of it.
I'm sure it won't be the last time we hear from you on that. But look, I just like to implore people, if you don't need to go somewhere, don't go. If you can do all your shopping for the week in one outing, do it. You don't have to go to the supermarket every day. You just try and limit your excursions as much as you can, and keep yourself safe. Councillors, I'll put the motion. All in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. Councillors, that takes us to the management reports. No, sorry, the governance and financial reports, draft borrowing policy. Do I have a mover for that policy? Councillor Ham, Councillor Cross. Councillor Ham.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'd probably like to talk to the CFO about this. This is great to have this policy tidied up. I noticed that council will not use long-term debt to finance current operations, and maybe if the CFO could just clarify exactly. I know we've got debt. We took out some borrowing for the caravan park. So when would we borrow?
CFO?
For the Mayor, Councillor Ham, we would be borrowing against, for example, a business. If we're building or expanding a caravan park that has a clear revenue stream against it into the future. Also against our business units of water and sewerage, because they have clear revenue streams in the forms of fees and charges. Anything that will clearly save us operational costs. For example, the LED report that we had up at last council meeting, where we had a report that said in the future, these operational costs will be saved. It's the equivalent of a revenue as we are having smaller expenditures. That would be basically it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other councillor?
And
Carry on, Councillor Ham.
and there's two ways to borrow. We can borrow externally and internally from reserves. Is that correct?
Through the Mayor, yes, Councillor Ham, that is correct. Doesn't have to be reserves. It can also be just against a business unit internally.
And nothing can be borrowed unless it comes to council and we sign off on it.
Councillor Ham, that is correct.
Terrific. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Councillors, anything further? So I'll put the motion that we accept the draft borrowing policy that goes out for public exhibition, and 28 days, is it this one? People have time for comment. Thank you. All in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. Draft liquid trade waste policy for public exhibition. 7.1. Mover. Councillor Cross, Councillor Wright. Any discussion? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Councillor Pritchard, did I see your hand?
Fitting the technology. Yeah.
Well, that's unanimous. Thank you. Draft water and wastewater charging policy for public exhibition. 7.2. Mover. Councillor Wright, Councillor Cross, noting that these are all out for public exhibition. Any comment? Put the motion. All in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. Draft stock grids and gates policy. Just before we put this, I would encourage anybody with, and I have a stock grid for myself, so I'd encourage anybody who's got a stock grid or gates to look at this. Do I have a mover? Councillor Ham, Councillor Pritchard. Any discussion?
I need to agree with you, James. And I think this is one of the policies you probably don't look at until something goes wrong. So any farmer with or any residential owner with a grid or a gate on their property, I think it's important to read this before it gets passed.
On a public road. And it's not a new policy, it's the same policy. It's been out for many, many years. It's just that a lot of people aren't aware of it. I'll put the motion. All in favour? Unanimous, thank you. Draft street activity policy. Councillor Ham. Councillor Cross.
Once again, I think this is a good one for people to have a look at. Just two things. I'd like this policy to be directed to DIAG, the Disability Action Group, and if that could be directly sent to them for comment. The group is very active and they have tremendous ideas, and this is a way that some of those ideas could go into action. So that would be my
Thank you,
recommendation there.
Councillor Cross.
I'd also like it to go to the Chambers of Commerce because I think it's a key document for them to have a look at to give us feedback for.
Thank you, Councillor Cross. And it's a pretty long vote of draw, but yesterday Councillor Cross and myself and met at Tumut Main Street to see the pavers being laid. And it was good to see such activity there. And yeah, so looking forward to seeing that finished.
And I think also we need to add that the Chamber of Commerce were there, as were business owners, for us to have a conversation with.
And how's it looking?
It looks wonderful. Really, really good.
Good.
Put the motion, all in favour? Thank you. Cemeteries policy for adoption. This is for adoption. Councillor Smith. Councillor Cross. Any comment? Councillor Smith.
No, not really.
I'll put the motion, all in favour. Oh, Councillor Cross, do you want to say something? Or
Yes, look, I was a bit disappointed that nowhere in the policy was it stated that the reservation fees were going to be used to maintain the plots. I know that that's caused some questions in the past, and I thought it should be clarified in the policy.
thanks for clarifying that. Maybe we can put it in as an addendum later on.
The other issue I wanted to bring up as well was the fact that some people had difficulty in accessing the actual policy so that they could provide feedback. I wondered if there was any, if that situation had been remedied and ensuring that it won't happen again.
We maybe direct that question through to the CEO.
Thanks, Councillor Cross. Through the Mayor, there was an issue with some people in regards to trying to compare the policies to the former council policies. We were able to provide those policies directly to that person who inquired about them. However, the former policies don't go up on our website. So we were able to work that through with the customer who wanted to do that comparison.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nothing further? All in favour? Unanimous, thank you. Alcohol-free zone policy for adoption. Councillor Ham. Councillor Cross.
I think this is one of these mandatory policies which it's great we've got it, and I have no trouble with it. But just using this opportunity to ask how we're going with, we've showed our interest in CCTV and what's happening with there. If I could ask that question, please.
Certainly, I don't think it's mandatory, but certainly the question on CCTV is worth asking. CEO.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Ham, Council has adopted its crime prevention plan recently, and CCTV is addressed in that plan as per the community consultation that occurred at the time. We have already been in discussion with some of the community groups who have been in contact with us looking to obtain funding directly themselves for their particular community as they believe that CCTV would be quite useful in their community. And we've put them in touch with some state funding that is available, and they've advised that they've made contact with the state funding body, and the funding is currently open and they intend to lodge an application. We've also said that we'll work together with that community in respect to their application.
But as a council, we are not pushing for it to be down the main streets or anything like that.
The crime prevention plan actually details out that council is supportive of CCTV, but doesn't say that council will install CCTV.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you. Anything further, councillors? We'll put the motion, all in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. That concludes the meeting for today. Thank you very much, everybody.